Welcome to Saturday night's main event.
I'd play My Obsession by Animotion, but, we'd probably get flagged for that.
Canceled.
Yeah, we one canceled and two probably flagged for copyright infringement. So,
just have GTA Vice City vibes.
oh, that was the Saturday Night's main event song.
I know. But I would still get Vice City vibes.
That's what whenever I hear "Come On, Feel the Noise," I think of that because that's the first song. That's the first song on V-Rock. Whenever you steal the car, it's "Come On, Feel the Noise." So anytime,
Honestly, right?
Yeah. So
Like,
anytime I hear "Come On, Feel the Noise," I feel like I just stole a car in Grand Theft Auto.
Let's see. Now, there's also some Twisted Sister on V-Rock.
I Want to Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let me get this out there.
Flash FM with Video Killed the Radio Star.
Or VCPR.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
Those were the good old days.
Yes. Remaster. Oh, wait. I just realized. Oh, yeah. We just got a remaster of Vice City, and apparently the definitive trilogy completely sucks.
Huh. Well, I don't know how to buy it. And hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Saturday night edition of the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined this week on the other end of the tin can and string by CJ.
Yo.
And Easy.
Hello.
And, well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who sent condolences to me on the social media pages. Really appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with me through this. We're gonna push through and talk about probably the craziest week in wrestling since I started doing this here YouTube thing. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but most of it involves one person. So if you do not like Cody Rhodes, this is probably not the show for you. But if you've never seen this show before, this is the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I met CJ locally. I met Easy at All In. If Nick runs in here, I went to high school with him. We love wrestling, love talk wrestling, love sharing, love pro wrestling with each and every one of you out there. However, just like each and every one of you out there, our opinions are that of any other fan. We avoid insider terms because at the end of the day, we're not insiders. We're just a bunch of marks. And yeah, so. First things first, we are going to talk about the big news out of the NWA. There is a new NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, and his name is Matt Cardona. So I know CJ is the true resident NWA aficionado. What is your opinion on this call? Do you think this is a good call? Do you think What do you think? You think Murdoch should have held the belt longer? What are your feelings on this whole thing?
It's not just woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
Heyo.
No, I think personally it was a good move. It kind of feels like the same thing he's already done for GCW, to a lesser degree. And if we're going to keep running into other promotions and just like being the bad guy and being better than the whole promotion, taking the belt, then maybe it wears off. But for now, I think it's a good thing. It gets more eyes on the product, especially since they're back on YouTube. They could use like the hype, get their numbers up, get their views up, and maybe translate to something that makes a little bit more money for the company. But it's something new. It's somebody with a lot of influence in the wrestling world having a title, and it's a big, I mean, for a lot of people who are newer to wrestling, this is not like the big deal belt, but for a lot of us who grew up with wrestling and the last of the territory days and knowing all that history. This is the belt. This is the world's heavyweight championship. So him having this on his list of accomplishments is a pretty big deal for him too. And I'm sure privately he's probably marking out as much as any of us would be. But it gives him more angles to go through. I was obviously a huge fan of Trevor Murdoch having the belt and winning the belt. It was well deserved for his career, and the way he did it was honest, like really awesome. But it kind of fell flat in him just holding the belt. It wasn't.
He chased the belt better than held the belt,
Which is typical of a babyface, and that's fine. And there might be more money now in him chasing back for the belt. For the time being, we're getting a good guy, Nick Aldis, immediately invoking his rematch clause. And I wish I could be there to see the match live, but that's not going to be possible. So we will watch it. And I will be very excited because I'm sure that's going to be a really solid match.
That might be one where we might have to do predictions on that closer to time and see how the episodes of Power and USA play out, because right now you have, I mean, I'll say arguably, but I really
it would actually be a good show to do that for, because it's coming, the match is coming at the Crockett Cup,
right?
So that's going to be a whole high focus on tag teams, which is something we all kind of like. So that might be a really good thing.
Yeah,
maybe I'll actually watch an NWA pay-per-view. So
it's pretty.
Well, you should have been watching the NWA pay-per-views in the past, because they're good shit, pal.
It isn't me like narking on NWA. Like, come on, like one of my favorite matches is Cody Aldez at All In, because like, come on, that was All In. I've just never built enough interest to trying to follow the NWA. Like, I already do enough like trying to follow as much as I can with AEW and whatever crap WWE is still trying to push on us.
Well, cut out the WWE and insert the NWA.
But it's like an unfortunate relationship with a sports team that you love so much, and then it's like, God damn it, just do something. But anyways, it's whatever. But with so much stuff that I'm already like following, that like it's hard to like put NWA back in. It's like in The Simpsons, where it's like
CJ's got a point though.
My brain, another thing comes out of my brain.
If I'm gonna make a note for NWA, like a good selling point for them, you know how easy a watch that Rampage is, with it only being an hour, and it's just like, man, that show just flew by. It was very solid. You got some matches, you got some build, and it just, Rampage is such an easy watch. The NWA is such an easy watch, because most of the time Power is like 40 minutes and then USA is like 30, so you get a little bit more than an hour, but you don't have to watch it consecutively. I do, just that's how it falls in. Like, it's so much easier to like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. It's easier to keep up with. It's a solid watch. It flows really well, like Rampage does to me. It's a lot easier than like putting myself in to devote myself to like keep up with Impact. It's easier for me to keep up with NWA than it is with Impact, and most certainly WWE. That's a tremendous beast.
Right. Kind of getting back to the title itself, though. I am intrigued, because I really don't know what they're going to do. Because on one hand, you do have the belt on Matt Cardona, who, like I said, arguably the hottest thing on independent wrestling right now, and I'm only saying arguably just because there might be somebody out there with a different opinion. But I mean, the dude is not signed to WWE or AEW, and he has as much buzz as any of them right now. And it's like,
after he made GCW almost riot.
well, so it is one of those. Do you keep going with Matt Cardona and let him be like a long-term bad guy champion, similar to how Nick Aldis was originally, and then you build up somebody like like Pope, all these different guys on the roster who hasn't won the 10 pounds of gold yet to dethrone Matt Cardona, or do you kind of go in the direction with somebody who is 100% committed? And I'm not saying that Cardona isn't committed to the NWA, but what I am saying is he's all over the place, and NWA may not want their champion, even though he's a big, even though he is still a big deal in GCW, you maybe don't want the NWA champion, getting stapled and, acting a fool in a different promotion. So I could also say it's like, okay, well, let's put it on unquestionably the ace of the NWA, and that is Nick Aldis. And only this time with Nick Aldis and going into, I believe this is will be his third reign if he wins.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he lost to Cody, beat Cody, lost to Murdoch. So this will be his third reign. Going into his third time with the 10 pounds of gold, good guy Nick Aldis is something that I really don't think... They've had him be an honorable guy. They've had him not be a complete piece of shit, but he's never been the top good guy in the company. So the intrigue there is like, okay, how are we going to get Nick Aldis in... with a new coat of paint, at least in terms of how he'd wrestle his character. And also, speaking of Nick Aldis, he's also tag teaming with Doug Williams again. So as somebody who liked the British Invasion, and that being one of the only things that he liked about TNA in a certain period of time, cool to see that again. It's always good to see Doug Williams. So yeah, definitely encourage everybody out there to check out NWA Power and NWA USA. It's on YouTube. It's on this platform. You don't gotta download a new app. You don't gotta pay for a subscription. You don't have to do anything. You just gotta go when you're done listening to us. Go to the NWA YouTube page and watch it. It's an easy watch. It's old school. There's not a there's no pyro. There's not a lot of music, and the crowd is a very intimate setting. But when you have WWE and AEW and things of that nature, there's no point in trying to be like either one of them. So be different, and NWA does that. So. From there, we are going to quickly light the fuse and bring the boom and talk Dynamite. And show begins with CM Punk. And, I actually liked this CM Punk promo. Like, this was the first time, like, since he come back where I'm like, okay, this is why if I, didn't hear at, autograph signings and at Comic Cons, he was a complete and total... ass. I liked CM Punk back in the day. Like, this is it. Like, this was a better promo than he did face-to-face with MJF. This was the best thing this was better than his Eddie Kingston promo. This was better than all of that. This was as good as what he did in his prime in, 10, 11 years ago. And I really appreciated the "Will you be my Valentine" pun. That was props there for the.
It took me a while to honestly understand. Like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I liked that a lot.
And honestly, this was also like the first you honestly see MJF look extremely scared during the time that he's been with AEW. This is the first that he literally looks like he's been shut up. Like, he doesn't know what to do. He's got nobody else to help him unless he gets Wardlow to do his dirty work again. But still, this is just interesting. Dog collar match, though, is like, okay, sure. I know some people, they can't stand the sight of blood. And then for me, it's like, well, dog collar match, I guess, is like, okay.
But I like how they brought the dog collar match. Well, number of reasons why I like the dog collar match. One, like Punk actually made sense of like, okay, hey, if this is a cage match, you're just gonna run away. So, with having the dog collar on, he's not gonna run away. And then two, one of the first matches where CM Punk like really came into his own. One of his first big storylines that he did in Ring of Honor was with Raven, and they got really, had a real big blood feud, and Punk and Raven had a brutal dog collar match. So I know CM Punk knows how to wrestle a dog collar match, and he knows how to wrestle a dog collar match well. For the type of old school wrestler that MJF is, this is a good stipulation. And I also don't foresee at the end of this one, MJF and Tommy Dreamer tying CM Punk up and forcing him to drink a beer like he had to in Ring of Honor. So Punk's probably okay with that. But yeah, I'm excited about this.
I have many questions.
No, go ahead. What's your question?
No, I was like, Tommy Dreamer tied up CM Punk to make him drink a beer?
That was the end of the match. Was Raven was like, the whole thing was like he hated Raven because Raven used to be an alcoholic and addicted to pills and everything. So like he beat up Raven and got like a 6-pack of beer, and he said like, I'm going to end your career, but first I'm going to send you back to rehab, and poured beer in Raven's face. And then Tommy Dreamer came out of the crowd, Tommy Dreamer was actually in WWE at the time, so this was like a big deal, and DDT'd CM Punk, and then they tied Raven, and Tommy Dreamer tied CM Punk to the ropes, and Raven's like, whatever, well, I'll go back to the meeting, but I don't think you've ever had a beer before. So they beat him up, and then they open up one of the beers, and they hold his mouth open, and they pour the beer down his throat.
Yeah, see, like, I really wouldn't be okay with it, because, like, for me, like, you guys, like, know that I don't drink. It's because, like, I literally do have my personal choices that I don't want to drop off alcohol on me.
Oh, that's fine. CM Punk was actually asked about
until you get 200 subscribers, unfortunately.
CM Punk actually said about the whole thing, like, I'm straight edge for me, and it's part of a storyline, and I didn't go have another beer and didn't start drinking. It's just like, okay, it's part of a storyline. Okay. But CJ, what do you think of this whole dog collar match stipulation? You think they're going in the right direction with this?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to put a little bit more intensity into it, so it did have to be a gimmick match here.
Yeah.
I personally like the dog collar match. They don't go to it often, and that's good because it is super dangerous. Like, this is the match that actually injured Piper quite a bit. The specific one that they're referencing. Piper was really legit hurt after it, and for quite a while. So they're dangerous, and they're hard to work around. But MJF is, for as young as he is so freaking talented. And CM Punk, you can say that you hate him, you don't like the character, you don't like this and that, but he is one of the best workers. So these are two totally safe, totally competent guys doing a match that not a lot of people could probably even pull off. This will be the second one in AEW, with the first one being two other great workers that we'll talk about one of them later.
Mm-hmm.
It makes AEW stand out to do matches like this. They're brutal, yeah, but it's not something that the WWE does. And I did like CM Punk calling out the cage, like, you can just escape. Like, the cage is nothing. Is it imposing? Is it it looks really scary and flashy, but the cage has kind of like lost its luster because WWE overuses the gimmick. So I personally like the AEW is going different ways like this to bring importance to things that we've already seen.
Yeah, and it's one. And also, if you think about this with AEW, kind of piggybacking off that, anytime they've ever used any sort of gimmick match has been like, holy shit, this is a big deal. Like, we've only seen one actual blood and guts match. We've, the only thing that's kind of been kind of bastardized has been the ladder match, but that's just like kind of one of their okay, whatever. But like ladder matches, the only two cage matches have been what? Cody and Wardlow and Lucha Bros and
Young
Yeah,
Bucks.
Young Bucks. Like those are the only, if I recall, those are the
If
only
you-
two cage matches, not counting blood and guts.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you
Um,
don't count Blood and Guts as a cage match, then
You
yeah.
know, so there's only been two cage matches. We're gonna have two dog collar matches, yeah. And not even like the ladder match hasn't even been like truly bastardized. It's just kind of been one of those. It's like not other than like with the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian, and then Razor and Shawn. Ladder match was never like the feud ender. It was never like and so it has come to the ladder match. It's kind of other than those occasions. It's kind of just been more like, oh hey, let's put this belt up there and let's see some people fall off some really high things, and
It's
there
a
you
gimmick
go.
that can just be used as a time gimmick.
Yeah.
It annoys me that, like, why are we having a cage match? Oh, because it's February, or oh, because it's November, and that's the pay-per-view, so we have to have one, and it doesn't make any sense for this feud, but we're gonna do it. And the dog collar makes sense for this feud. We're not having a dog collar match because it's February. We're having a dog collar match because MJF has repeatedly run away from CM Punk, and Punk needs a way to keep him tethered because Punk is old and he can't do that much cardio.
Now, honestly, it also got me thinking, you could do a cage match if you put barbed wire at the top.
I mean, like, say something
Too much
like
gimmicky?
too much gimmicky for a company that's still only 3 years old. Yes, I mean, just kind of give some perspective. The cage. It took just going by Vince McMahon Jr. running the company. You had cage matches forever in the 80s and 90s. You had Snuka and Morocco. You had Hogan and Orndorff. You had Hogan and Bundy. You had Brett and Owen in the cage, and like the cage like worked. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with the cage, but there was a long time in just that promotion of having the cage before they decided, hey, we want to make things, we want the brutality up a little bit more because we're entering the Attitude Era and we need shit to turn things up a notch. And then that's when Shawn and Taker had Hell in a Cell. And Hell in a Cell became like, okay, Cage is here, Hell in a Cell's here. And until they bastardized that, like, cage match just kind of like, oh, this will be, this will be brutal, but this will be kind of a decent match. And then, holy shit, things have grown to the Hell in a Cell point. I guess what I'm trying to say is like AEW has not taken away from the cage enough.
Yeah.
To where they need to add anything different to the cage. We've had 2 cage matches. Now in 7, 8, 9, 10 years, if you want to play around with the cage stipulation after, we've seen too many cage matches now in AEW. So, yeah, I just, it's not time for AEW to fuck with tried and true stipulations. I already don't like the Face of the Revolution ladder matches having like, oh hey, the person who comes out last could have already lost because I already don't like that stipulation enough. I kind of just wish it was like Money in the Bank and it's just, hey, everybody go out there and do it. But whatever. We're AEW hasn't ringed shit yet, so you don't gotta change it until it's ringed, and yeah. So getting back into Dynamite, because we got to cover this and go to our biggest discussion of the evening. Lee Moriarty, I think I said that right, and if I didn't, I apologize because I like him. And Bryan Danielson had a fucking phenomenal match, and I fucking loved it, and this is what I fucking needed that day. I fucking love this. Oh, I love this match. This was my type of wrestling match, and it was beautiful. Lee is got a bright future ahead of him. Danielson being that wrestler of the year. Yeah, I disagree with the Wrestling Observer newsletter that we know him to be. And after the match, he kind of is a dick about a dick to Lee, but Moxley comes out and asks about that partnership, and Moxley tells a story the first time they met, which is cool. I like the continuity there. And Moxley also says that before he teams somebody, he's got to bleed with them, which I mean, we're going to see that Moxley Bryan match probably at Revolution, but whether or not they actually become a tag team after that's still up for debate. So, I don't know. What did everybody else think of this match?
Hey, it was about they also actually brought up the whole Danielson Moxley thing because it's like, well, I was there, when Danielson said, I want us to tag team and all that, but it's like, okay, it took you guys 2 weeks to finally get an answer, but still, I guess long-term storytelling, whatever. But I don't know, I still kind of feel intrigued that, I can dig the whole Moxley Danielson tag team. I can also dig if they do, um, a match between the two of them. But again, we never know. So I'm open for whatever ideas they got. I'm okay if we get Bryan and Moxley fighting each other. I'm okay if they team up together because, we'll see. Them trying to take down the tag team division could be interesting to say the least. But again, we'll see what happens.
CJ, what do you think?
I mean, I think you can get a really, really long story with it. Obviously, I think we're going to get the match at Revolution, which perfect, cool, great, because you got to do the match.
Injected
I
in
kind of,
veins.
yeah, I think that you could do the match where you already kind of told the story where Mox just can't beat Bryan. In all of the revisions that he's gone through, he hasn't. Don't beat him again, but like beat the hell out of Mox, and then he respects you, and you can do the either tag team or a whole stable, whatever you want to do with him for a while. If we get the Hardy Boys, which we're gonna get, that's a good team that they can work with. That would just be cool for my Attitude Era meets New Era brain. Do that, and then eventually you split them up somewhere down the road, and Mox gets his win finally, because I'm sure that Bryan is still a bad guy at that point, and that's, God, you can get probably a good 2-year storyline out of that, easy. I like it.
Here's for me, like, part of me even thinks maybe they're not even going to tag team. Maybe this will turn into the, hey, no, I said no, I don't want to be your partner. And then you can have Bryan build his stable with your Daniel Garcias and maybe 2.0 too, and he have Bryan kind of build his stable, and you could just get a lot of life out of people in Bryan's stable going after Jon Moxley. Very similar to how you got 3 years out of. I mean, it's not apples to apples comparison, but like you essentially from 85 to 90 got so many years out of Bobby Heenan just sending somebody after Hogan. You could have Bryan win, but Mox turn him down, and then I'm not going to join your stable. Okay, well, here's these guys. And then Bryan can go off and do his deal. But then within that deal, there's, Daniel Garcia with Moxley. There's, would Danhausen count towards Bryan Danielson's Daniels and Bryans?
Oh, I
I
think so.
feel like he would be on board with that idea.
Yeah. I mean, obviously for a storyline like this, like no disrespect to Danhausen, I don't think that's the, but you get what I'm saying. The different, Brian could be going after possibly Sammy Guevara, but then still be associated with this stable, and all these other guys are going after Moxley, and then Brian wins the TNT title, Brian wins the AEW title, and then we've built up after 6 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, Mox Brian 2 in AEW, and like you just something similar to that. Again, Heenan and his stable of wrestlers went after a lot of different people, and but pretty well you could bet for at least most of the 80s, it all eventually went back to them trying to give the belt away from Hogan. Whether or not you like that or not, or like the people involved in that or not, is up to your opinion, but you got a lot of mileage out of one guy wanting to hate one other guy. And I think AEW could do something similar to that. But at the same time, I'm not going to say there's not money in Moxley and Bryan together. Next up is a Face of the Revolution qualifier match. Wardlow versus Max Caster. This match was exactly what it needed to be. You needed Max Caster to get the fuck beat out of him, and you needed Wardlow to look fucking great, and he did.
At least Max Caster has a real accountability buddy.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Wardlow has a real accountability buddy, making sure that nobody attacked Wardlow after he stood up on the ring and put his back to him.
I was low-key seriously hoping for Max to win this, because the moment you see Bowen sneak the brass knuckles, which, by the way, that's being an accountability buddy, by the way.
No, that's being a cheater.
Was like, holy crap, that actually could have been incredible. And just, honestly,
that would have been I mean, hey, all love to Max Caster. That would not have been a good booking call.
But just imagine, Wardlow take that loss, and that can also just trigger MJF thinking, you don't seem to be the strong guy that I hired to be. So, again, it could play more to MJF, or Wardlow at least, turning on MJF.
I see that. Go ahead with your point.
If you're going to have a turn, you really need Wardlow to be super strong and indestructible and unbeatable. The money in the turn, I think, is with Wardlow turning on MJF, with Wardlow having value still for MJF and the Pinnacle by having that, by especially winning the Face of the Ladder match, which I assume is going to happen. He needs to be unbeaten and strong, and then turn on MJF because he's had it with the bullshit, not turn on him because MJF doesn't see the value in him anymore. Because if he loses and MJF's like, no, you're not what I thought you were, you're trash, you're garbage, goodbye, and then Wardlow hits him, it's like, meh. But if he's valued and he still turns, that's when the yes.
Because because if he's, unlike in WWE where they shit on you so your turn can be shoveling the shit off of you, maybe Wardlow shouldn't need the shovel. You know what I mean? Like for going back to, for instance, going back to Bryan Danielson, they had him lose every match on the original NXT, but it's like, but then he finally gets the one win over The Miz, and it's just like, okay, I get what I understand the thought process there. I get what they're going for. But on the flip side of things, it's like, wouldn't you have wanted Bryan to be really strong, and then Miz just being a dick, oh yeah, whatever, you beat a rookie, and then it gets to the point to where all right, NXT's over, I'm on Raw now, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Miz. Where it's Miz needs to fear this guy. that's what I'm feeling like they're doing with MJF and Wardlow is, no, keep him strong. The only time he loses is by MJF's hand, not Max Caster's hand, not Anthony Bowen's hand, not anybody else's. The only time that Wardlow has lost recently has been because of MJF. Because of MJF being a dick. So now the only blemish for Wardlow has been because of MJF. So when MJF eventually says, fuck, or when Wardlow says to MJF, fuck you, that's where you get the money at. And, again, you want people to truly believe in Wardlow. That he is the tough son of a bitch, and he's going to win this ladder match, and he's going to kick MJF's ass, and he might even win the AEW title from Hangman too. Like, I feel like you need that more than just to kind of go, convoluted finish. Max Caster's cool, but I feel like your money's in Wardlow. Your money's in Wardlow right now. And, unfortunately on this night, Max Caster had to be the one to go down because the money's in Wardlow right now. Getting back, there's a Hangman promo with Adam Cole, so we pretty much know that. It was an okay promo. Definitely not one of Hangman or Adam Cole's best, but it was okay. But it did pretty well officially set up what we all kind of thought was going to happen with Adam Cole versus Hangman at Revolution. So kudos there. The Inner Circle implodes with Santana and Ortiz versus Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. Really like Santana and Ortiz winning this one. Like, then Eddie coming out, like, I feel like they did a good job with this. What say the both of you?
This was a really good match, honestly, to begin with. And although low-key, I was still hoping for a mini LAX reunion, but that's just beside the point. It was just, again, a really good tag match. It's one of those, watch this to really understand, so much of the feels that, the Inner Circle is, unfortunately, it's no longer going to be with us anymore. We already saw Sammy leaving them again. So having Santana Ortiz, honestly, finally make their marks is, they could really be big on the tag team division. They can conquer without the Inner Circle. So I think that's exactly what those guys need to, probably get on top of the world and be a new threat to whoever will be the champions. So I say definitely next year Santana Ortiz will be tag champs.
I'd say hopefully sooner than that, but
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Well, we got to give the Acclaimed a championship and then Santana Ortiz.
No, we got to give the Accountability Buddies, then Santana and Ortiz.
They're not. They don't compete as tag teams. I'm sorry.
Well,
I will only believe in the Accountability Buddies if Sean Spears also leaves. If he turns on MJF.
No, because then if they're gone, then there's no longer a need for an Accountability Buddy in the Pinnacle.
No, the two of them can still be whatever your little thing is.
No. The only reason there's an accountability, they could be a tag team, but they wouldn't be accountability buddies because there's no longer a reason for Wardlow to be accountable. If he's no longer in the Pinnacle and no longer, doing MJS bidding, then there's no longer somebody.
Wardlow can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Once that happens, there's no more reason for Wardlow to be accountable. Right now,
maybe all this time he wanted to have
Wardlow
accountable. I don't know.
Be accountable. CJ, what do you think of this match?
We got to stop saying accountable because we're going to get flagged for accounting. By the end of this whole thing, we got to stop saying accountable.
All right, let's start saying Acclaimed.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No, that doesn't have the ring to it.
Doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
Yeah. But back to Santana and Ortiz, who absolutely do deserve to be tag team champions, I think, before the year is up. I'm kind of thinking hopefully all out, maybe, but full gear, for sure. I liked this match. I like the breakup of the inner circle. They didn't have to necessarily go this route with
Right.
dispersing them, but I'm totally okay with it. It's Jericho doing what Chris Jericho and AEW does best, which is put over the newer talent. And I don't know if anybody else caught that they technically kicked out of the tag team finisher, but got him somewhere else. And that was a nice little, I feel like a little Easter egg of what really these two are capable of in the long term.
Right.
Not just that these are going to be tag team champions, but I think there's also there's some money in singles runs for each of them as well. And I think personally the talent for each of them is so great. They're good wrestlers. They're fantastic on the mic. Both of them individually and together is just outstanding. So I'm super pumped. I'm glad they won.
They're overdue for a tag title run. Like,
They're so over, even if it's not just a tag team run, just the spotlight and getting them in the ring. They have been so overlooked. For a lot of their time in AEW. Even if they don't immediately go into the tag team like title picture, just the spotlight and for people to see them on national TV and get the spotlight that they deserve is I'm so happy about it.
Yep, I like it. I like it a lot, and definitely. I mean, I thought they should have won the tag titles at. I thought they should beat the Bucks instead of the Lucha Bros. That's just me, but hey,
That's what I said. It was. That's what I like telegraphed to happen, but I was wrong. You heard it here. It's on video. I don't say that very often.
No disqualification match. Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez. Had some Cobra Kai stuff going on here with Britt Baker, so that was a fun Easter egg. I really like this match, and now, I thought they could drag it out to Double or Nothing, but it is probably a good call to do it now. It's the rematch we've all been waiting for. It's Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. Only this time it's not a lights out match. This time it counts, and it counts in the biggest way possible. It's for the AEW Women's Championship, but I really like this whole match. I like this whole segment. I liked what happened with Rosa and Mercedes afterwards. I don't know. It's just a good match, and it was a good setup for what is to come with Britt and Rosa. Easy, what do you think?
I don't watch the Karate Kid.
What?
I've never been a fan of it. I just don't really care about it. Another franchise I've never gotten into was Back to the Future. So yeah, I know this would be my last show. Whatever.
Clearly not an 80s kid at all.
That's because I'm a 90s kid. The much better decades. Anyways, I liked this match between Mercedes and Thunder Rosa, and then I was low-key thinking, hold on, there's 3 of them, there's only 2 of them, then is there nobody who wants to save Mercedes and Thunder? We could have had someone try to save them, or I don't know, like Statlander or somebody.
It's not really a storyline between them, though.
True. Anyways, but I did like, the little turn that they had on Mercedes. I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, again, I just did not give 2 shits about the Karate Kid Cobra Kai tying because I don't give a shit. But, hopefully we still get, Thunder Brits for realsies this time, and hopefully that will come at Revolution. Huh?
It's announced.
It's official.
Oh, they announced it. Oh, about fucking time. Took them long enough. This is how much I've been out of the loop lately. It sucks.
I think that they officially put it.
Did it take them long enough, or did it take them just right? That's the $1 million question. It's been about a year since they last wrestled. While I would have liked for the Good Doctor to get a year as a champion, maybe doing it a year since they wrestled, still a solid reign. And I stand by my belief that Britt has had top 5 all title reigns in AEW history, and all respect and love to Hikaru Shida, best women's title reign by far. Part of that does have to do with poor Shida had to wrestle with no crowd, but that's besides the point. But yeah. I think they waited just long enough. But CJ, what do you think of the whole match, and what do you think of Cobra Kai involvement?
I love the Cobra Kai involvement. Martin Cove, hell yeah.
He's a better wrestling manager than a dancer, I can say that much.
Oh my God, he was the drizzling shits on Dancing with the Stars, but that's fine. That's fine. He's older than
he was having fun.
He was trying very, very hard. He had a really good time. He is much better at being a sensei, and he is much better at this endeavor into wrestling. I know that he's a Britt Baker fan and vice versa. I liked integrating him into the turn for Mercedes because she came on so soon that it kind of felt odd if it wasn't like for this explanation to turn on her so soon, but that does give kind of Thunder Rosa a partner. So I'm sure we'll see a tag team match in between now and Revolution, and I'm cool with that too. This is all very bittersweet for me because I would like to see Britt continue with the title, but at the same time I understand that it's been a year, Thunder Rosa, it's time. There's not a whole lot of other opponents for Britt that don't kind of diminish them. There's no one really set up. You could do Mercedes or Jamie Hayter, but I think that diminishes them when they lose to Britt. So it's time. It's time for Thunder Rosa. It's time for Britt to lose the title. She'll be okay afterwards. I just liked her being the champion.
We all did.
I'm a big Britt Baker fan.
You know, it'd be awesome if she lost the title in Pittsburgh, Oh, great. Hey, if CM Punk can lose in Chicago, so can the Doctor. And it would also just be awesome to watch the Steelers fans be complete crybabies like they always are.
I mean, there's been enough Steelers loss in Pittsburgh for a while. The wounds are fresh. And Britt hasn't had that many wins in Pittsburgh yet.
Yeah, unlike Punk, where basically he got everything in Chicago. Yeah, she's had two.
Yeah, Punk had major wins in multiple companies in Chicago, and has had just a storied career in and out of Chicago. Britt's still, she is a pillar of AEW, and she is the retaining wall of the women's division at the moment. But she's still building her legacy. So, who's just
this is just me just being annoyed with her being a bad guy, and honestly, that kind of is what AEW wants. You want people that you are literally annoyed with.
Yeah,
Baker is one of them.
She does a great job at doing her job.
Exactly. Yep.
Knock the teeth out and then puts it right back in.
Suck.
And that's why she's been one of the best champions so far. Mm-hmm. And nobody else could have done and I'm not trying to diminish what Rio or Nyla or even Shida did, but nobody could have made, really cemented this turnaround for that belt like Britt Baker. I say this with all due respect to the other 3 champions, but Britt had that character that everybody else was missing. That made it more than just wrestling matches for a belt. You had investment into these matches because of Britt Baker. Where it was every storyline great? No. I really didn't like the fact that her and Ty Conti were arguing about, whose butt looked better. I really didn't like that there was kind of like a, well, who's good and who's bad with Nyla and Britt, but the Statlander program, the Ruby Soho stuff, oh, that was great. Up till now, so
Britt really took it. I mean, when she came into AEW, like, okay, well, she's a solid women's wrestler, but she didn't have a handle on her character yet, and she didn't really know who she was.
They wanted her to be this kind of white meat, all American girl, where it's like, not only do I wrestle, I'm a dentist, and you should all think I'm great for that,
And I think for her, like, that is the real Britt Baker. Like,
True,
is. She is. She's a freaking nerd and a half for wrestling and everything else. As if you look at her outside of like an AEW Dynamite, she's a total freaking nerd. She's just like a normal all-American girl. She works her ass off.
But like, see another Pittsburgh legend, Kurt Angle. People don't always buy into that well.
They don't. But she didn't have her footing yet when she came into AEW, and that's totally fine. She's young. She was coming into a new company. She was relatively unknown. The people didn't like what she was selling, and that's what I'm kind of saying is the credit to her is that people didn't like, the merchandise that she put out there, so she turned them on their heads. Mm-hmm. She didn't totally revamp and change every single thing about her. She flipped it around and she made people care, and she made people like her, dislike her. She went from a nothingness to everyone, regardless of how you feel about her, chanting DMD at her every single time she puts a finger up.
Yep.
Like she got it.
And you want to know what actually helped her get over that no one thought would? Fucking Tony. If she wouldn't have picked on Tony Schiavone, it would have been just like, whatever. But the fact that she picked on Tony Schiavone and then bestied him, it was like, this is hilarious. This is great. I love this.
Yeah, and then
apologies to everyone who's been through a toxic relationship, by the way. Myself included.
Not really I don't know if it's really this wasn't like a romantic relationship. This is, I'm gonna pick on you, and then it's like, then she just grew to like the poor guy, and then they became buddies.
And now it's Adam Cole picking on him.
No, Adam Cole just has serious heat with him.
Hates Tony Schiavone because
hates Tony Schiavone.
Get out of my ring, Tony.
I literally I laughed so hard when he said that. It's like, of course. So I was like, I'm waiting for it. It's like, Adam Cole's going to call out on Tony Schiavone. He's like, there it is.
I hate that guy.
But yeah, got really excited about Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. Now it's time for the main event. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. Really great match until the finish, which I guess they're setting up a triple threat with Andrade, the little kid working with Stink and Sammy. But Sammy's been like fucking knocking shit out of the fucking park these last few weeks. Like, you ain't gonna stop Sammy. That's all I got to add. That's just fucking
Sammy is like Britt. Like, I mean, people did not like what he was selling when he came in, but Jesus, did he turn it up to 1,000? He's gonna be such a huge star. Mm-hmm. He is a big star, but he's gonna be.
I would be perfectly okay with Sammy. Like, MJF needs to be the first pillar to win the world title. I have no doubt about that in my mind. But rather than Darby beating MJF, I'd rather Sammy beat MJF.
I could see either one of those two beating MJF.
And you guys are going to have to entertain the people because I need to get a throat lozenge before we bring up our next subject. So entertain them while the folks look at an empty chair temporarily.
Well, Easy, what did you think about that match?
That was a really good match. I still kind of liked, Cody Sammy more. So this was a good match, though, although it's a little odd. Why the heck do we have a TNT Championship match on TBS?
I think
the TBS match is, Jade Cargill is right now nowhere to be found. but
I think that they just
it's
like
one of
to
those good,
play
like,
into that.
entertaining matches. You saw like a lot of respect between Darby and Sammy. They've had history with one another, and still, honestly, one of my favorite matches in person was Darby Sammy at Revolution. So they put on a good show, but hopefully, at least in this case, we finally have Andrade actually looking like he's gonna do something finally in AEW after all this time.
I think it's going to be kind of interesting with the three of them because Sammy and Darby like throw themselves around with reckless abandon, and Andrade is like, "Nah, homie, I'm good. You guys can do that. I'm just gonna like stay here in the ring where it's safe."
No, you don't. Stay here where it's safe. Just
Stay as long as you can.
But yeah, fucking Sammy Guevara, man. That's all I've got to say. So now it's time to address the 10,000-pound, blonde-haired, neck-tattooed elephant in the room. It was reported this
tattoo.
It was reported this Tuesday. Actually, it wasn't reported. It was put out there on social media, with Cody Rhodes' social media, that he has, in fact, parted ways with AEW. And according to rumor and innuendo, this is 100% legit. There's rumors about not being able to come to terms on money, creative, the spot in the company, the role within the company. What I would like to do, and this is why I needed to definitely go get a Halls for this one, and multiple Halls. There are about 10 billion different angles that are out there. And I'm going to bring up, and if anybody else thinks of any more, bring it up. We'll talk about this. I will give my legit thoughts, as I encourage both of my colleagues here to do. But I would also, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to, here on the internet, there seems to be really one way of looking at things, and that is AEW all day, every day. So what I'm going to do is, despite on most of these feeling the exact same way, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a lot of these decisions, because while we all love AEW, there's two sides to every story, there's two sides to every coin, and I don't think that just because a wrestling journalist reports something doesn't mean there may not be some sensationalism or inaccuracy involved in it. And let's get your popcorn ready, because here we go. The first big story is that he wanted more money, and he wanted Punk money. He wanted to be the highest paid guy in AEW. Obviously, us three being who we are, and not having Cody Rhodes or CM Punk or hell, any top wrestler in AEW money, we from the outside looking in go, how much do you need, bro? But when you're negotiating those big contracts, I mean, look at professional sports. Lots of people leave over money when they're already like, if they weren't complete idiots, would be set for life playing sports for a year. So, how does everyone feel about the money rumor?
Frankly,
okay, go ahead. You can start. You start.
Yeah, because the money thing, honestly, I feel like that really doesn't sound like a Cody issue per se. Like, okay, maybe does he want more money out of AEW? Okay, sure. But again, with everything that Cody has kind of accomplished, it's like, I honestly don't know what more do you need. You've reached your peak. So, and for a company that you kind of want to help build around, why exactly is really money your big worry for, again, a company that I don't know whether or not you had an EVP title next to your name that, you'd be so worked up about? Like, that part just baffles me. Of all the things that really are the biggest issues about Cody leaving was money. It's like, I really disagree, because I feel like you're still making some really good stuff and content out of what you want, especially with your TV deals with the Go Big Show and Road to the Top, which, boy, season 2 will be interesting to say the least.
If it's
But
on.
yeah,
They
if
haven't
there's a
greenlit
season
a
2.
season 2, then
Yeah.
assumingly this is not going to happen now.
But yeah, I feel like, I'll touch base on this later on, but I feel like, the big focus is really just create your family with Brandy. I know that not a lot of people are probably the biggest Brandy fans. I definitely saw that in Chicago, where Dan Lambert gets cheered more than Brandy. It kind of tells you something, but uh, it just
Let's
baffles me. Like the
let,
money
let's
rumors,
let's hear
I
CJ's
just don't
thoughts, and
think.
then I'll kind of give my. You heard I gave my thoughts. It's kind of like, what the hell more money do you need? But I'll give my
The
devil's
money
advocate
thoughts is
thoughts.
like non-existent to me. It's
Well,
like,
I'll give my devil's advocate thoughts here, but I want to hear what CJ has to say.
Yeah, I personally don't buy into the money hype, because you're going, if we're going on the assumption that the rumor is true, that he has left AEW and that he is just a matter of time signing with WWE, you're leaving a company that is paying you. He does have EVP behind his name, and up the last time we saw behind the scenes, which wasn't that terribly long ago, you're sitting in Gorilla next to the owner of the company every week. You have some trust there. So you have a talent contract, an EVP contract. Your wife has a talent contract and a corporate contract, and you have 2 television shows, and those are successful ish. Go Big Show has been incredibly successful for TNT and TBS. The network is happy with you, and the company and the networks are happy to make you a star outside of wrestling. You have the creative freedom in AEW to go pursue those things,
Right.
And be the face outside of wrestling for them, and that makes you more money. So to me, money in AEW, to go to a company that you already left, where you were making oodles of money, more than enough money. You both were. You and your wife were both contracted and making good money, and you left it. You both left because you felt like you could be a bigger star. So money wasn't a problem then. And yes, I get it. Children change a lot of things.
Do they change?
Do they change they can change things that you never thought would change about yourself. I don't think that they change you that much. From me, from a money perspective, because this is me all day, every day. This is what I do. That's a lot of money to walk away from on a gamble that you can make that much or more.
Right.
So to me, the money is not the factor here.
I don't. It could be a factor, and I could also, to kind of give what could be another perspective to this, because again, everything here is speculation. We don't know anything. Only thing we have is what's been rumored, and rumors are rumors. I'm not Eric Bischoff, but I'm also going to say that it may not be stooges and half truths and all that kind of stuff. But some people, when negotiating, see when they have their own number in mind. And I could see somebody like a Cody who goes, I helped start this company, be honest here, and I like the Bucks and Kenny Omega, but all they were popular, but when I got with them, that's when we sold out the 10. That's when Ring of Honor got the highest buy rate. That's when we sold out and had All In. That's Cody has a point if he were to bring that up. I'm the face of the company outside the brand. You don't see Kenny, you don't see the other EVPs going and doing stuff, and maybe they don't want to, but I want to, and I'm waving the AEW banner when I do it. I deserve blank money. And sometimes I deserve this money. It's not even about the dollar. It's about, do you respect me enough to see me worth this as much? And somebody, much like a professional athlete, who, what's the difference between 20 million and 25 million to that professional athlete? Like nothing. See that extra $5 million as, well, we've made the playoffs the last 7 years because of me. You take me out, we don't go to the playoffs. Is the playoffs worth the extra $5 million to you? I could see Cody or anybody else negotiating, like, do you appreciate me enough to get this? And I can also see, because Cody is Dusty's son through and through. If Dusty wanted something and Dusty didn't get it, Dusty went somewhere else to get it. Dusty didn't show weakness to a promoter. And, sometimes it bit him in the ass. Sometimes it got him wearing polka dots. But Dusty never showed weakness to a promoter. And this could have been a lesson that, Dusty put in Cody. When you're negotiating, don't let them downplay you. If they downplay you, you don't need to be there. That's an old school way of looking at business. And is this good? If this is true and if that is what happened, hey, maybe that's not a good look for Cody. Maybe that's not a good thing, but actually but can I see somebody having that sort of mentality when going into a negotiation? Whether or not I personally agree with it or not, yeah, I see it. And he's like, okay, well, if you don't think that I'm worth it, it could be like, well, I feel offended, and if I'm gonna, they're gonna pay me. If I'm gonna be offended, I'm at least gonna get paid. Bye. I don't know. That's my devil's advocate on a personal level. You really want to go back to WWE? Like, money means that. Like everybody has pride and ego, but like you have that one. Daniel Price said, possibly. I don't know what to believe, because earlier today Kenny Omega had an interview that like really just kind of said like, whatever. Cody was a good dude, but whatever. Creative differences. But we will go back onto that one. Creative. So it's been no secret that Cody's been in the Codyverse. He's been away from kind of everything else in AEW since COVID. He's kind of been off doing his own thing. And all the EVPs have had their booking power taken away. And on top of all that, Cody's character has been kind of stagnant. And much like his father, Cody has wanted to be the head booker. Wanted to have the book, baby. So, Cody, maybe realizing that he was just going to be another cog in the wheel rather than, one of the bigger cogs in the whole machine there. Thought that if he's not going to be able to have some creative input, and he's just going to be, an EVP in name only and just another wrestler, if just going to be another wrestler. He's going to go somewhere where maybe he feels like he's appreciated more or possibly better reimbursed more. Um, you know, I don't know. Let's spin this one around the horn.
I'll let CJ go first.
Okay. So if it's a promotion problem, if it's a booking problem, okay. So your butt hurt that, you don't get the whole book for the company anymore. That's fine. His brother himself said, you keep your head down, you do what you're told, you're nice to everyone, you're supportive. That's how you get ahead in business. That's how his brother, granted raised a little bit differently than he was, views how to work in this business. And for someone who's had such a long and successful career as Dustin Rhodes, I would assume that Cody probably has a very similar mindset. So to just throw a fit and quit, and your wife quit and upend your lives with an infant, seems a little childish to me, just because you got a book taken away from you. The thing that I can't reconcile about this is, okay, you're upset about booking in AEW, where we've kind of heard across the board, maybe now they don't have complete creative control, but wrestlers do have quite a bit of input into their character, and particularly the matches. They're given it's a little bit more old school in the sense that Tony Khan will let the wrestlers do their job and wrestle the matches that they want to wrestle. They can go to other promotions, like Jon Moxley goes to GCW. They can wrestle for these indies. They can wrestle for other like promotions, Impact. They could probably work with NWA if they wanted to. There's some freedom in the way you self-promote. So maybe you don't have control over promoting the entire company, but in AEW, you do have some say in how you yourself are promoted. In WWE, we know for a fact that's not the case unless your name is maybe Roman Reigns.
Or
Paul
John
Heyman
Cena.
doesn't even. Maybe. I'm speaking of like full-time wrestlers at this point.
Right.
But Paul Heyman doesn't even have the creative control, even though he's numerous times had the title of head creative. Head creative is Vince McMahon, and the buck stops there because it's good shit, pal. And we've heard it from multiple wrestlers that have left there that are really big deals and very talented guys and girls. They have no say. So why on earth? To me, it doesn't seem to fit, even more so than money. It doesn't fit that he would leave a company where he still at least gets to say what he wants to do and go to a company where he has zero say in what's going on and what happens with himself. And people will argue and have argued that, oh, he's going to negotiate creative control for his character like Daniel Bryan kind of had. That's great. That's fantastic. I hope that if it's legitimate that he did that, because if he didn't, dumbass move.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a wrestler. I don't play one on TV. But if I had any sense of creative freedom, that's not the place where I would go. If I valued my ideas and I had a head for the business that Cody has, that's not where I would go. I just, I, you didn't see the same value in yourself that he saw so many years ago. And I don't think, from everything we've heard about Vince, that leaving and spiting him the way you have has put value in Vince's eyes. If Vince is great at blowing smoke, he's a really good businessman and he's a really good salesman, and he may have smoked you out to make you think that he values you among everything else. I'm telling you, the creative for you is gonna be eating crow. For me, it's also not a promotion issue. If Cody got hurt, that he got the book taken away from him, I don't think that this would be the decision that would be made. Now, if he leaves and goes to ROH, that is trying to rebrand themselves and recreate and rethink their whole position, and are without a head booker since Scandals from Umbrella Man, then
Right.
that to me fits better in that narrative, is that Cody is negotiating and trying to find a place for him somewhere else that he has been before, that is needing a creative vision, especially with building from the ground up. So to me, that logic, if that's the true reason, that's the path that makes more sense to me for Cody.
Right. Easy. Let's get to you, and then I'll put kind of my attempt to make sense of that in that.
Yeah, you good. All right, so
Attempt
if
to
you're
make sense
having
out of
some-
leaving for booking, not what CJ said. She made
Alright.
the best points.
Yeah. So you want me to like say like his booking wise?
Well, what do you think? What do you think of that? Do you think that's the case? Like, do you think that he left
I
for
mean-
booking, or do you think that or do you think that that's kind of just
Yeah.
where do you see this on the likelihood scale?
You know, you would love to honestly be a fly on the wall to wonder what was going on between Cody and TK. You know, was there a falling out? Probably. But again, we don't know. You know, was there an issue with the money or creative or booking? Maybe. But again, we don't know. So, but if Cody was to like, you know, he wasn't, you know, getting creative or being booked enough on AEW, well, it's like, this is literally what it dates back to day flippin' one that I said that, frankly, Cody can have a title run and then, frankly, just be behind the scenes.
That's
So
where I'm
that
gonna.
way-
Okay, that's something else. Let's say that happened. Cody can be behind the scenes, and you don't want him to be behind, and Cody doesn't want to be behind the scenes. That is something like, if that happened, which that was gonna be my very next one, is that Tony Khan doesn't want him to wrestle anymore. Do you honestly think, like, if you are a wrestler and you're not ready to retire, even if Tony Khan says, "Hey pal, get in the back, you'll be good there," would you not feel a little insulted?
I mean, again, this is just really baffling me about, you know, if Cody left because of creative, it's like, well, you know, you probably had much better creative decisions than WWE ever gave you for, regardless of the money status. So, I this entire thing honestly has just really been like a loss of words. You know, if you want to leave AEW, you know, just take some time for yourself. That's awesome. But if this is all because of some backstage drama and some rumors going around that the superstars of AEW, they're actually happier that these two left, well, clearly something must have been going on that probably made the locker room a tiny bit toxic. But again, we don't know the full story. So I still just hope they left on good terms. But for another company that I don't know if we're going to get to or have time for, I'm just not sure. Was it really a better decision just to go back to the company that you've completely bastardized? Or at least like talk shit about for like the last 3 years.
You know, if it's about booking, and he's like, "Look, we don't want any of your input." I guess it's one of those. Again, okay, I'm gonna go to another company and see what I can get from them.
See, I do agree with CJ that if he goes to Ring of Honor, honestly, they really need a booker. They really need someone to fucking resurrect.
But kind of going back there, because here's the thing with Tony Khan. And I could say, if I can't be the booker, if I'm going to be a grunt, I'm going to go be where I feel like I can be a top guy. If Tony Khan doesn't think he's a top guy and doesn't think he has good creative control, it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to go elsewhere. And if if I can get the money, or I can get we have Daniel here in the chat talking about the Dusty related trademarks. If he can negotiate something like that and go play Jobber and go play Stardust for 2 years and get that. Okay, hey, at least I'm not being told by the person that was once my partner that I suck now or my ideas suck. It's like, we can all suck, or I can be told I suck. And something to consider, kind of piggybacking off of what EZ was saying is, why isn't Cody go to a backstage role? Get what he wants and then just start taking a backstage role. There was a time in the mid-90s that Vince McMahon said Macho Man had nothing left to give. He sucked. His time's over. He's not as good as he once was. He's not as over as he once was. He's not a player anymore. Sit your ass down at that commentary position and go film some Slim Jim commercials. And that's your value to this company. If Cody felt that, regardless of, some people agree with this, some people won't agree with this, that, hey, you're not as good of a wrestler anymore. Like we got Bryan Danielson now. We got CM Punk now. We got, Keith Lee now. We got all these people. You're not as good as them, kid. Go open the show and go sit down here, gorilla next to me, and be well. If you're an athlete or a performer, that's gonna offend you. That could, and if that happened, I know there's quite a few people here on the internet. I'll be like, well, Cody isn't as good as them, and that's your prerogative to feel. But when you hear that, and possibly hear that, and we know Tony Khan has no qualms about going public or telling people to their face that I don't think you're a very good wrestler, or I don't think you're as good as you think you are, that could be enough to go like, you're either going to pay me or I'm going to leave. Well, I'm not going to pay you. Okay. You know, Brett Favre was told in 2008, you need to wear, you can stay on the Packers, but you're going to be holding the clipboard and mentoring Aaron Rodgers. And he went, no, I'm good. I'm going to start in Green Bay or I'm going to walk. You're not going to start in Green Bay. If you want to stay a Packer, you're going to hold a clipboard, and if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, we're going to put you in, but you're going to mentor Aaron Rodgers. And Brett Favre went, goodbye. And whether or not that was good or bad is up to interpretation. But Brett Favre left. He had a few more playoff appearances, and Aaron Rodgers has had a damn fine career. But Brett Favre was offended that he was told, hey, we don't think you're that good anymore. Go sit down. And for all, again, speculation. This may not have happened. It could have all been greed, ego, money, whatever. We will never know. But you hear a lot of people, and you hear a lot of the fan base that Tony Khan listens to go, I don't want, Cody's not that good compared to Kenny Omega. Cody's not that good compared to CM Punk. Cody's not that good compared to Bryan Danielson. Cody's not that good compared to Jon Moxley and all these different names. And if Cody's like, okay, I think I am, and Tony Khan goes, I think you're not, I mean, he could have had this thing like, okay, I don't want to leave, but I got to leave. I don't want to go to your biggest rival, but I'm going to try there, and I'm going to try and show that I'm a top star there amongst everything you've done. And you know what? Bye. There could very well have been a Macho Man and Vince McMahon issue here where I don't think you got anything left to really offer us, and I think I do. Well, I don't see it that way, and I'm not going to change it. Well, you just don't know. The last 2 points we'll get to. I bet Punk got in Khan's ear and had something to do with it. I doubt that because Punk and Cody seem like they're friend. Like Cody or Punk was convinced to come to AEW talking to Cody. I don't even like CM Punk, but I don't think that was the case at all. I mean, it might have been. Who knows? It could have been anybody. Actually, there's 3 more points I gotta make. Excuse me. The third point is and Easy kind of touched on that. Maybe AEW has been around long enough that it's no longer Happy Land. And again, I'm not backstage. I don't know what the atmosphere is like, but Cody Rhodes leaves. We've had 2 female talents be open about mismanagement and maybe not the greatest things in the world. One in a very, very diplomatic way with Hikaru Shida talking about the Joshis coming over, and one in a very frank way with Big Swole saying that, yeah, this thing isn't ran as well, and Tony Khan's not the greatest. FTR put a tweet out where they asked them, hey, why haven't you been around the Bucks again? And they said, we'll tell you that story in a year and a half, which is presumably when their contract expires. So all these things coming out close to the same time. And an owner that has been, and I'm not bashing Tony Khan, but who has some very Donald Trump-esque tendencies to when he does not get, when things don't go a certain way on Twitter or an interview, he goes full bore into, well, let me tell you something and you don't know, and this, that, and the other. When someone just had a fair criticism of the women's division, he snapped and said, well, I funded Empower. When someone had arguably a fair criticism about, it's not my criticism to make, it's not my, I don't have a right to say for this, but say that there's not enough diversity, he was immediately there, go, what are you talking about? We have all the diversity. As a matter of fact, you're just not good. So we've seen Tony Khan maybe not act the way he should. At least not act like wonderful fan that's going to make everything great for wrestling, Tony Khan, that we kind of saw the first couple years of AEW's existence. We're starting to see a little more, maybe this place isn't perfect sort of things. And, Kenny Omega said maybe the new vision version of AEW doesn't work for Cody, and maybe that had something to do with it. I don't really know if there's much more that can be said about that. I mean, I open the forum to the chat and my colleagues, but that's just something that made me kind of go, like all this stuff happened and then Cody leaves and you're just kind of like, okay then. Anybody have anything they want to add there?
Not 100% because I just keep hearing that, Cody leaving was honestly good for them, just get the morale back up. But again, it's
real quick, I want to just point this out. Okay, you heard that Cody leaving was just the greatest thing in the world. Here's my devil's advocate to just dirt sheets in general with AEW. Who reads Wrestling Observer and Brian Alvarez and all that? AEW fans. The WWE fans aren't going to read that. They aren't going to listen to that. They people that like that aren't really fans and don't really follow things like that. So
it's not me saying I believe them. It's just they read it.
Yeah, just saying, like, in general, you're reading that. Well, do you think Dave Meltzer, who wants people to read his newsletter and wants people to go, wow, this is the greatest promotion ever because I said it was? Do you really think
he's going
to go, man, this AEW place is a toxic, really, no, he's going to go, yeah, it was, the reports he's going to put out are going to be, well, yeah, it was toxic, and it was that son of a bitch, Cody. I mean, he could be right. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm also saying for all the people that want to read what those types of people have to say are people that want to hear that AEW is great. And AEW is awesome, and the bad people in AEW, they's gone.
Well,
it's just hard to know.
And to kind of play devil's advocate on that piece, we to your point, we just kind of said, like, TK doesn't really take the criticisms of his vision very well. And we kind of saw in some backstage stuff, and especially on Roads to the Top, whether that's a shoot or a work, what have you, I think that there's a little bit of truth in the fact that Cody was when they had a good relationship, Cody was the middle. Cody was like a middle management. He was the JR. He was a buffer between the talent and Tony. And speaking from kind of personal experience, you got to eat a lot of shit sandwiches in the middle, because you have your boss sitting there giving you a ton of directives, and I'm gonna say this personally, like, I have fantastic bosses, but sometimes we don't see eye to eye, and that's fine. I have super good bosses that listen when I say, I don't agree with this or this, like, it's heard. Tony Khan, maybe not, maybe he doesn't take that as well, because he's built a very successful company, and that does inflate egos. We see it with Vince. He's built a very successful company. You can't tell him shit.
No.
So Cody's sitting in the middle. Cody sitting in the middle is getting it from Tony, and he's getting it from all the talent that don't like the directives that he is not choosing to pass, but has to pass because that's his job. Not everybody liked JR when they worked for him. Do they like him as a person? Yes. Did they like him as a boss? Not so much, because you know what? It's rough to hear when you're giving everything your all that you're not doing things right, or it's not hitting right. And some people just can't take that. In a work group, you're not going to like all of the people that you work with, especially your superiors, all the time. It takes a lot of maturity and a lot of personal growth to take the criticisms as well as the compliments. And once again, in a personal experience, that's not always the case for people. There's a lot of people in this world that can't handle criticism, period, end of story. And so when your supervisor or your higher up is coming and saying that this isn't working, but let me help you, maybe that's not taken very well. So yeah, I can 100% see people not being thrilled with Cody and thinking that it's a whole new world now that he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always going to be somebody. There's either going to be somebody in the middle that, for their sake, I hope buffers all of the rough criticisms from the high up, because it always comes rougher from the highest up. That's what I'm sure Cody did, is take it and buffer it. You're a filter. You eat the shit sandwich, and sometimes you have to deliver them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really shitty position to be in.
And to further that point, I actually got, for once I didn't get flamed on Twitter, I actually got some Twitter love in response to this report, this clickbaiting report. I said, you mean there's some people that didn't like a person at work and somebody that did like them? Who would have thought it? Like, that's a workplace. One person's fuck that guy, or fuck her, or God, I'm glad they quit, is another person's, damn, that was my buddy. Damn, I could go to her with my problems. Damn, I'm gonna miss them. That's work. Also, Cody was this was something else. Cody was management, so now, there could have been people that, like, brown nosing the fuck out of Cody. Now he's going, fuck that guy. Well, he wants me to wrestle like that. Can you believe that? I'm gonna do, I need to do about 7 top rope fuckinators. What's this? Tell the story bullshit. Flip side of that, there could be a bunch of fucking people that are like, I love you, Bucks. I love you, Matt. Love you, Nick. And if they were to leave, like, they could turn in like, fuck them. I fucking agree with Jim Cornette all along. Could have. That's the work. That is a workplace anywhere, especially in the wrestling business. Especially in the wrestling business. It's, the big, I don't like to give a lot of credit to, these sorts of fans, but they had a point where they said, what's going to happen in AEW when not everybody's getting along anymore? In 2019, everybody, like, it's a revolution and we're all in this together. And then, 2020, it's COVID time. We got to make sure the company survives. 2021, okay, we're getting back to live events. Time to go full steam ahead. It's 2022 now. It's year 4 of the company. And now there's people that are going to be like, I want my push. I want my storyline. I don't want to lose to them. Why shouldn't I lose? Why should I lose to him? He hasn't had a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer yet, and I've had 10. Why should I lose to them? He's 5 feet tall and does flips. Don't you see that I'm 6'3"? This is something interesting about AEW going forward. Is how do you handle that? Did they have a great show on Wednesday? Absolutely, they did. Do I think that Cody Rhodes is the reason why the ratings went down? Absolutely not. And we're not even going to get into that because we got 2 more big points to talk about. But now we're, the bloom is kind of off the rose now with AEW, and you're seeing that Tony Khan can be a dick. You're seeing that not all the wrestlers get along, and you're seeing that there are some that don't enjoy working there, or did not enjoy working there, or don't think it's the best, the best place they've ever worked. And to kind of go back to Meltzer, he doesn't report on those things as much as he does. Boy, oh boy, I sure love AEW, but that's his business. He wants the people that love AEW to buy his newsletter. That's fine. Hey, I get that. Anything else you want to add on that front?
I got nothing honestly at this point because it's like, for me, frankly, people come, people go. Cody wants to go, then all right, go. There's gonna be plenty of other people who wants to fill in your spots, and who knows? But at least the bright side that I heard is, he still wants to remain with the Nightmare Factory, his own wrestling training ground.
Right.
So,
and they're feeding into AEW. Also, they're essentially AEW's developmental. So that's interesting. And
again, he could focus with, his development of the Nightmare Factory. So I'm sure, there's still something that he can arrange with AEW. He could still have, the people training at the Nightmare Factory, go to AEW, get a few matches and all that, and then see where their careers take off. But again, frankly, this isn't me trying to be just a downer or anything, but it's the more that the story kind of drags on, if this is literally going to be the one rent-free thing that wrestling fans are going to think about, will he, won't he go to WWE? It's frankly, I just don't care. For me, my importance would be, if I was in his shoes, just create your family, man.
Well, and that's kind of their personal business that I won't. I mean, if they want to have more kids, more power to them. No. If they want an only child and focus all on her, more power to them. If she wants to stay home and work, more power to her. She'll be a great influence and role model for her daughter. And if she wants to go find work somewhere else professionally or as a wrestler, more power to her. She'll be a great influence for her daughter. It burns me that people want to tell Brandy what she's gonna do with their family. Just, it burns me when anybody tells a woman what to do with her personal family.
Mm-hmm. That's
a whole soapbox for me. I
frankly liked her better.
I like Brandy. I loved her cooking show. I like Brandy. But I know that I'm in the minority on all those things. She and I just vibe with the same kind of. We have very similar personalities, and sometimes those just really clash. But in some perfect storms, they vibe, and she and I vibe hard. But to take it in another level, my favorite thing to see right now with the whole thing is that, this proves that Vince secretly owns AEW.
Let's
because
not even,
he can just
let's not even give that, but kind of on the same token, there's 2 more things I want to discuss, 2 more angles for this. One of them is we have a Bret Hart in 97 situation again. I don't mean the screw job. I mean, we can't afford to keep you. We can't afford to keep you at what you. Maybe Tony Khan does think Cody's worth that. But there's, again, I want to emphasize this, rumor and innuendo that Tony Khan maybe has blown the budget a little too much. Maybe he's, I'm not saying that it's not being, he's, the only data we have is all the profit he's made, he's invested in the video game. So maybe he's out of money. He's not out of money and like it's going to go out of business, but much like with the way the market is and the way the contracts are, for those that didn't know, the main reason that Bret Hart left the WWF at all was because he had a contract worth a certain amount of money. Bret was going to be Vince's guy forever and ever and ever. 20 years. It's a 20-year contract worth all this money. And he was going to be Vince's guy, and he was going to retire and be Vince's right-hand man. And then the company wasn't doing as good a business as they thought they would. And there were other people in that company that were responsible for the success that WWF was having at the time. Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Mick Foley, etc. Those top guys were getting their contracts due, and they're going, hey, I want what Bret's got. Or close to it. Vince had to make a decision. Hey, I need to, who do I need to keep? Do I need to keep Bret, who's obviously very important to me? Or do I need to keep Shawn, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Mick, Triple H? What do I need to do? Before the screw job got ugly, the screw and all that stuff happened, it was a very, fair understanding thing of, Bret, I can't pay you. Go where you can get paid. Go to WCW. Get that money. And WCW paid out the ass for Bret Hart. Vince helped them do it. Like, go, tell them what you want. Go to WCW. If it comes in the future, we'll have you back. If we can afford you and pay you what you're worth when you're done with WCW, come back. Obviously didn't happen that way, but it started that way. Could this be Tony Khan doesn't have the money to pay Cody what he's worth, so Tony Khan has told Cody, go get your money. Go to WWE if that's what's going to give you the money. Go. Oh, I know this is more of a CJ topic than EZ because she's about the money.
I'm keeping out of money stuff. I'm the last person to talk about it. So, Shane O'Mac, CJ, take over.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. I can walk down to a ring without sweating bullets, man. Do
you want me to refer to you as Linda McMahon, or is that worse?
Oh, I don't know. Annie McMahon is rough.
Well, at least with Stephanie, human-wise, she's amazing.
No, she's not.
Business and WWE-wise,
she's awful.
Okay, all right, fine.
She's smart with business. She's very good at her job.
She's a smart lady. I will give her that. No, she is an awful person.
I would have been extremely insulting if I called her Stephanie.
I did that was one of the people that I looked up to as a kid, but that's neither here nor there. TK running out of money, I don't know. They're a private company, so I can't see anything. I know a lot of people going like, he's worth $8 billion. Let's say what I know versus what I don't know. For one, and once again, these are all private companies that the Khans are involved in. They are not running for president, so their tax records are not open for investigation. We don't know how much they're truly worth. I know that the estimates and the speculation of how much Tony Khan is worth is very much tied into how much his father is worth. And the estimate is that his father is worth $8 million, that he's probably around more the $2 to $4 million on his own. But
million or billion?
billion.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I thought I heard million on my end.
yeah, you might have. It's getting late.
Yeah.
Yes, extremely.
Here's the thing about it. Net worth and how much money you physically have in the bank are different. Assets are a wide classification of worth. And unfortunately, not everyone likes to be paid in different forms of currency. Most people like cold hard cash, whether that be physical cash money in your pocket, whether that be, an ACH deposit to your bank account each month, year, what have you. People like to get paid in cash, and you can't pay cash based on what you're worth without what we call liquidating assets, which means cashing out, which means for Tony Khan to, even if it's legitimate that he is worth $8 billion, that means that he has to cash out every share, every 401k, every investment opportunity, and sell his ownership stock in AEW. Ding, 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 ding. That's the big key here, to make that liquid cash in order to pay people. So it's entirely possible that he is low on liquid cash right now to pay people. Even if he has an unlimited amount of money that he can keep throwing into this company, it's not smart to keep diving in and putting more money in owner's equity. It's late and now I'm getting into this, so I'm gonna bore everyone to pieces. But that's not in my world, in my real world, in my shoot world, that's not what we do. Substantial growth is not a big boom. People hire us to make sure that you can do sustainable growth, and that's small and over time. And so dumping just a ton of cash, even if your expenses merit the dump of a ton of cash, is not smart in the long run for a business model. You want to make the money that you're spending and also put more money into your owner's pocket, whether that be a sole ownership, partnership, or like Vince has, where he has to pay his shareholders, who are stockholders. You can't just dump money into a business, even if you have it. And I don't think he has it. I don't know. I can't see things. If he would like to go public so I can see things, I would love that. If he would like to hire me, I don't cost as much as Cody Rhodes, or CM Punk for that matter. We were talking
Daniel put in the good point. I apologize for cutting you off, but his father gave him his inheritance all at once to start the company.
Right.
If he's spending to pop ratings and not getting a return on investment, it's for nothing. And that's very true.
And that was reported to be that was reported by Tony to be $100 million, was his inheritance. And that all got dumped in the opening of the company. So your the first contracts, the equipment to set up, and there's a lot of different fees that go into all. There's a lot of money that's being spent behind the scenes, that we don't think about because we're not in that business and it's not our job to think about it. But there's a lot of things that go to costing this company money besides the talent contracts. Like, even
it's part of the reason why when we said even with the pandemic, why is AEW still in Jacksonville? It's like, because that's free. They don't have to pay all those fees to go to Atlanta or
that
Orlando.
Is 100%. It's 100% why Vince made record profits with WWE, because he had the Thunderdome. He still had to pay for the Thunderdome, but just the transportation costs alone, and not losing money on a live touring, the house show circuits and stuff.
Not having to pay a truck to go from here to here to here, pay the driver. And
these companies, they pay for the travel for all these talents. So if you want Jake the Snake to come out or Sting to come out for that 5-minute segment, not only are you paying those people for their time, but you're paying their makeup people for their time. You're paying to get them there, their airline tickets, the catering, the food, everything. There's so many little expenses and those are all built in, and they have to be built into a budget I know a lot of people don't like that word budget now. I get really dirty looks when I say budget to normal people. Um, but in the business world, you have to have a budget, and you have to work on that budget, and you have to be accountable for your budget. And
You might need a buddy to help you be accountable
you
for that
need an
budget.
accountability buddy. TK, I'm talking to you. I can be your accountability buddy right here. I am so good at budget variances. It'll blow your mind. But no, I think that that's a real possibility that could have happened. I do. It wouldn't be the first time, and maybe part of that it goes into Tony Khan can't pay him what he's worth and can't use him enough to justify overspending for Cody Rhodes because he doesn't see Cody as a big star or sees Cody getting too old or just doesn't want to use him that way. He wants to utilize him in other ways. Doesn't want him to get hurt because he's making good publicity for AEW being on the Go Big show and Rhodes to the Top. And just like we see with John Cena and The Rock, they don't come back and wrestle, not because they don't love it, that they don't want to. It's too much of a risk because if they pull something, if they break something, that's time that they can't do movie contracts and other things. And the movie corporations, they don't want them to go do that and get hurt. So yeah, I mean, that's part of it too. That could be a really big factor, and it's too much of a risk for Cody to go out and wrestle. I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, he made him go through the table. I 100% think that table spot was Cody's idea. They did a bunch of fire spots on the Go Big show this season, and I 100% think Cody got a bug in his ass.
I'll do that.
Like, ooh, this is how you did. I'm going to do that. Because you could just see it. You could see it in his eye. He had the dusty glimmer in his eye.
Gonna do that, baby.
Oh.
So the last one, and it's the one that some people will die on this hill and some people won't. It is a work / part of a story. Either he's not actually going to WWE. He's going to sign the contract, and they're just stretching this along to get the buzz. / it's a Brian Pillman sort of thing where, yes, he is legitimately gone, and yes, this information is out there, but he's coming back. At least that's what Brian Pillman was supposed to do in theory. That is the final Cody Rhodes topic an angle that we will be discussing with Cody here tonight. That maybe this is just this is how he gets back in the title picture. The rumors are he never wanted to turn bad, but maybe this is how they do it, and they throw that out there for the rumors. Or maybe he actually is leaving. Maybe he is going to go to WWE. I don't foresee that one happening and him coming back and it working out unless he negotiates a very, 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 very short-term deal with, kind of does the Goldberg deal of I'll win, I'll lose. Unless he negotiates something like that, which I don't think's going to happen, but you never know. Maybe he's going to end up in a different company. That's the final one. This is all a big part of the storyline, and he's not actually leaving, or he is leaving, but he's leaving with the intent of coming back with more buzz. Let's take this final one for a spin. Whoever wants to start.
I'm going to make mine short and sweet, honestly, because if this was a complete work, they'd be like, really, guys? Really? I can't understand, how could you completely fake the fact that, I'm leaving AEW. Thanks, guys. Oh, wait, no, I'm coming back. It was all a joke.
If you want to turn somebody into the top bad guy in the promotion.
I just would not be understanding, why. But
I don't like
again,
Bully Ray.
A lot of people were
but
saying,
I'll give him the benefit of that's heat, brother.
Yeah. But again, these are the same people who are thinking oh, he's probably going to go to WWE. He thought he was going to be in St. Louis for the Royal Rumble and watch the WrestleMania sign catch fire. or people were thinking he was going to be in Saudi for that show that nobody really gave a damn about today. There was like rumors that like, oh, he was there. It's like, do you really think Cody in this case would have? I get maybe he doesn't have a lot of money, but it's like, do you really think he would afford a one-way flight from the U.S. to Saudi in one day? Do you know how long those damn flights are? So,
well, Vince has
anyways.
a private plane.
Hmm?
Vince has a private plane.
Fair
The
enough,
rest of
but
the
again,
talent,
like
the rest of the talent has to take the normal
it's
plane, but
unless you were on the plane ride from hell. But anyways,
they
so
don't use that company anymore.
yeah, no.
And
But still, like the secrecy would be completely blown over. Like we got extremely lucky that nobody leaked out that Chris Jericho of all
That's
people
what I want to say.
was
Like
going to be at All
the
In.
secrecy would have to be there, but it's proven. Does it get blown? Absolutely. Can it still be done? Absolutely. We didn't know the Hardy Boys were going to be at WrestleMania, and we didn't know Jericho's going to be at All In. So who knows with Cody?
True. Again, well, we'll see. It's one of those. I'll believe it when I see it because as of right now, it's just I'm kind of just moving forward. With what's going to be happening with AEW. I'm always keeping track on what live events they're going to be doing soon. And as soon as, they go back to St. Louis, I know these two will be happy and maybe I might join them. But, or again, Cleveland's not bad. I mean, we are hosting the NBA All-Star Game festivities. But anyways.
It's getting late. I really want to hear what CJ has to think about this theory.
But anyways, just final note is I just don't care where he ends up.
Well, I'm not sold that it's not a work. I know that there's a lot of people, including from AEW, that's like, I can't believe people think that this is a work. How dare you? I would not. I went to worker, always a worker. And that's not untrue. No matter how hard you want to sell me, I'm not convinced based on kind of the language that Cody's used in the last few months. And we, as wrestling fans, have seen this try to be attempted before, like the Brian Pillman angle. It didn't work out the way they wanted it to, and maybe that happens again. I think if it's a work that Cody doesn't do that, I could see it playing out where he, comes out of the crowd and, starts just freaking out on all the AEW stars without a contract, and that's how you make him like Matt Cardona level heel for AEW. Because I mean, that's we talked about that earlier. That's kind of how Matt Cardona's been coming into these companies. Like, he's not necessarily signed. He's not a talent with them. He's shooting on them and saying, like, this is the worst company and I can make it better. And here's all the things that I can make better. And I'm so much better than this. And Cody could do something like that. They're really good friends. So I could see the thought processes between the two being big, and maybe Cody does something that we've never seen before, because that is kind of.
He said he was going to do something you never seen before, and his other words were, "We're not going to do it the way you think we will."
And this would fit that, and it's not something that we've ever seen on a big scale be completely successful before. We've seen people attempt to do it and get screwed over in the process. If anybody's going to do it successfully and not screw anybody over, I think it's going to be these two. AEW has a really good history of being able to keep things on the lowdown and super secret. Vince has his ways of keeping things that he wants on lock secret. Edge was a big surprise not too many years ago. Nobody knew that was happening. Vince has his ways when
John
he wants
Cena,
to.
2008.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that was happening.
Yeah. If Vince, I mean, obviously, like, spoiler alert, Cody didn't show up at the Elimination Chamber. Miz made some hints to a very handsome friend of his that he was going to make a call to be a tag team. If that ends up being Cody Rhodes, take the big L right away for fucking Cody, because you do not go in for that shit and come out ahead.
No.
I love Miz too, but damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. I will not be surprised to see Cody show back up in AEW. I will not be surprised to see Cody show up in NWA, Impact, or ROH. I will be surprised and maybe a little disappointed to see him go to WWE.
Yeah, that's my feelings on the matter as well. I mean, whatever happened, I wish Cody the best because, Cody has an ego, but so does Kenny Omega, and no one ever bitches about his. So is CM Punk, and his is celebrated, and he's doing whatever he feels is the right decision. Whether or not we feel it is, that's not our concern. This is the only thing. Here's my final thoughts on Cody Rhodes until we see where it goes. One, he did everything right on the way out. He lost to Sammy Guevara in one of the best matches in AEW history. And two, this whole Cody situation took all the buzz off of a rumor of Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to the ring.
After 20 plus years.
Yes. So, I mean, if you don't want to say that Cody's not the king of getting buzz, he took buzz away from the biggest wrestler in history, possibly coming back. What should have been the biggest talking point of the day of, oh shit, Stone Cold Steve Austin might wrestle again in Texas at WrestleMania, got replaced with, what the fuck is going on with Cody Rhodes? So, whether you like that or you don't like that, it fucking worked. It fucking worked. Because what are we doing? What have we spent the majority of this show talking about? Cody Rhodes. So, all right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us to this special Saturday stream. Sorry for the change in delay, but just a lot of things going on. And again, thank you to everybody who reached out. I appreciate all of you. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on my social media pages: Facebook.com/AthleticGeek89, Twitter @Athletic_Geek89, Instagram @AthleticGeek89. These two have social media, and I'll let them have the floor.
Okay, I guess I go.
Go for it.
It'll be, you can find me at the Twitterverse at Eric Zarins. That's ErikZarins. I am always trying to find an awesome sponsor for us today, but probably the likelihood of us finding one will be the same time Veer Mahan finally debuts on Raw.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Veer Mahan comes with Cody the Raw. That's how they bring him in.
I could always try to reach out to Danhausen again, but again, I think the answer would be bags of money. I don't know what kind of money he'd be saying.
Human monies.
Yeah, he likes real money. Money to buy a blimp.
Or a lifetime supply of A&W.
No, he needs a really big blimp now that he's trying to get in with Chaos and the Best Friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
A really big blimp.
CJ, you got social media?
I do. You can come tell me how wrong I am on Twitter at CJTeamall0.
All right.
Or financial advice.
Or financial advice.
Yep. All right. So for CJ and Easy, I'm the Athletic Geek. We're just Marks, and we're out. Have a good one. Oh.